Hello. It's time for another attempt at a beer review by me, and today I'm going to be drinking a Northern Monk collaboration beer, which is Overtone, Neon Raptor and Northern Monk. It was released probably a couple of months ago, I'd have thought, and it's called North versus South, and this is the North variant, and it's available in a big supermarket, which I'm not going to mention, but yeah, have a look. It's good. So I'm going to play a game of pool, and then I will assess the criteria from my perspective based on the balls that I pop. So here we go. So as you can see, I've just managed to pop the 9 on the break, which means I don't have to hang around here. I can just go ahead and review all of the attributes in quick succession, which I'm sure you'll be relieved about. So yeah, as I said before, this is a North and South collaboration beer. Primarily Northern Monk, I think, lead this, but it's supposed to be I think it's a showcase for brewers from the North, and those are Overtone and Neon Raptor. I mean, I've tried a few Neon Raptors before, and they're very good. I think I've tried a few Overtone beers before as well, and I've also enjoyed those. So all very solid breweries. And this is saying Leeds Northern Monk team up with Glasgow's Overtone and Nottingham's Neon Raptor to perform the North's tag team against some of the finest breweries the South has to offer. Combining their shared passion for all things hoppy, the Northern powerhouse are represented by a double dry hopped IPA packed full of Citra, plus Strata, Idaho 7 and Eldorado for sweet and zesty citrus, juicy tropical fruit and dank bitterness. And that's yeah, so that's quite a lot going on there in the description. And I mean, Northern Monk are always really solid. So yeah, a lot. I'm quite, optimistic. And here we go. So, colour. It's pale orange, yellow. Clarity, I'd say that's pretty opaque. Can't see it through it. Very hazy. What you would like to see in a good New World IPA. I mean, this is yeah, I think this is a pretty good example of one of those sort of IPAs that have developed in the last 10, 20 years. It's not your traditional, if you're not used to drinking craft beer, this is more, a lot more going on flavour-wise and aroma and stuff. It's interesting hops, a lot more flavours, a lot more tropical stuff going on. But yeah, in terms of its lacing, as you can see there, it does tend to stick to the glass, which is a good sign. I always think a beer that doesn't have lacing is it doesn't fill me with much hope if I'm going to drink it. If I looking at this beer, I'd be quite optimistic about the rest of it. And then as for carbonation, well, it looks to me as though it has a reasonably good carbonation, I'd say moderate, and the bubbles are quite big and they're still rising. So some craft beers and a lot of ales and stuff, they don't tend to be that gassy, not like a sort of a lager or whatever, but this is good, very good carbonation. I'm not sure if that shows up at all on the camera, but it's good. So that'll help move flavors around in the mouth. As for the aroma, I mean, citrus. Citrus seems to be a very predominant flavour in a lot of these New World IPAs. I think it's sort of a fairly common characteristic of most hops. Pine, mango. There's a certain dankness, I guess, that comes from like ripe fruit, specifically ripe tropical fruit. So pineapple. I've already said mango. I might have already said that. Very fresh. The sweetness. There's also kind of pepperiness going on. I find that's a fairly common thing as well with the IPAs that I've drunk over the years. These new IPAs, they're quite nice peppery quality. The best ones, multifaceted. It's like fruit, pepper. So yeah, it smells amazing. Next up, let's have a look at the body. So we have a bit of a taste for this. It's it's quite, I'd say it's a medium end of thin to medium. It's certainly not thin, and it's not the most full-bodied of IPAs I've ever tried. I mean, I think they've got oats in it, which means that always adds a bit of body to it. Nice mouthfeel. It's certainly got a very nice mouthfeel. It's not thin. I think I'm not a big fan of beers that's overly thin. You don't want something that's watery. This certainly isn't that. It's got a nice body to it. Next up, let's have a look at what the bitterness and the sweetness are like. So I'd say, as with most good beers, you've got both elements going on to different degrees. And this one, initially, there's a nice bitterness to it. It's not massively bitter. I mean, it's not. I've tried IPAs that it's an exaggerated, astringent bitterness, but this is quite moderate and pleasant. The more I drink it, the more it sort of builds, but still not to unpleasant levels, and it complements the other flavours and the body of the beer quite well. There is also an element of sweetness to it, though, from the fruit, notes that come from the hops, and it's very well balanced in terms of its sweetness and bitterness and so on. So yeah, I really like it from that perspective. Taste. So I'd say, having tried it a few times now, delicious. Yeah, it's got, in the taste, the citrus comes through. The bitterness makes it feel like a sort of grapefruit, orange. There is elements of pineapple in there. In the taste, I don't think I get the mango as much myself, but I mean, I'm fairly new to all of this, so I mean, a more experienced palate might be able to pick out more flavours. There might be a bit of melon in there. The sweetness from the malt base is good. I mean, it's got, and it just feels like a really quality product. Very good. in terms of its taste. Very drinkable. It's not a low ABV beer. I mean, this is 7%, and you can't really taste that, which is good because you want the best beers are the ones that are so well balanced that you can't pick out any particular attribute to the extreme, I think. I mean, you want balance in a beer. You don't want something that's like undrinkable because it's supremely bitter or etc. But yeah, very good. So yeah, overall, and in terms of its balance, I'd say excellent. It's a great beer. It's for the expense of it. I mean, it was from a supermarket. It's probably the big supermarket, the one that's, you know, the first one you'd think of probably if you talked about supermarket. So if you go in there, you'll be able to find this one. And there's also a South version. I mean, so this is the North. This is the North beer, but there's also a South beer, which is a collaboration between 3 different breweries. I think one of them's Northern Monk still, but then there's potentially 2 others. Or maybe it's not Northern Monk. I mean, why would it be Northern Monk if it's a South beer? It probably isn't actually. So ignore that. But yeah, that's also there. But this is really good, very good. So recommend that. And I think if I was to give it a rating out of 10, I would probably give this one, in terms of its overall balance and flavour and so on, versus the cost of it, which I think was 3, 4, something like that, £3 or £4 per can. It's excellent. I mean, as someone who's been drinking this sort of beer, craft beer, buying cans from bottle shops, buying bottles from bottle shops and so on, I've tried IPAs that are like double the price of this, but don't have, you know, they don't taste nearly as good as this. So excellent value and definitely worth trying. I'd say for me a 9 out of 10.